network address translation. It is called NAT. So this NAT means what? It is network address translation, and it allows a network devices such as a router or firewall to translate addresses between the public internal and a local private network. Local private network. There are defined range of private IPv4 addresses that can be used to configure IPv4 addresses for the private use. The IPv4 traffic originating from or defined to private IPv4 addresses is not allowed to move, or it will drop in a public internet routers. So this permits the reusability of private IPv4 addresses in different non-public networks. So there is no IPv4 address conflict between two private IPv4 addresses separated by the NAT devices. Now, because the private IPv4 addresses are translated to globally unique public IPv4 addresses when they leave their own network. So NAT allows only a single globally unique IPv4 address to represent an entire network to the outside world. Now, for simple, if you go by the simple thing like why we use, what is this NAT? So basically it is what? It is translating the network address. Translating the network address, that means when one address comes, then it will translate into other address. So very simple. What this do? It just translate the network address. But why? So why it do? Because we know we have IPv4 addresses, but they are limited. They are limited addresses. So what happened when the networking starts? So we have IPv4 addresses only, and for that time it was too much addresses, but soon they have what? Finished. Almost the IPv4 addresses are finished. Now what happened? INA did what? They have made one private ranges also. They have made the private ranges also to make to configure it in for the local network. Like if suppose I don't want to go for the global network like WAN or internet, I just want to configure my LAN network, so they have provided the private IPs for that. But those IPs cannot work on the WAN environment. WAN routers, internet routers, when the IPs goes, like if any packet goes onto WAN network, and if the source and destination in any way you see the private address, they will not be permitted. So what happened when the IPv4 public addresses finish? So because the public addresses are finished, so what organizations do and administrators do, they get this NAT. So with the help of NAT, we can do what? We can use private addresses and still we can go to the WAN network by using the translation. So it basically solves two problems, two network problems. Let me show you this. Now what happened? This is our LAN network, and in a LAN network, if you don't want to go outside the LAN, like if you don't want to go to the WAN network, internet, then we don't need public IP addresses. We can use private addresses and we can configure the devices which in our LAN. We can use these private addresses and we can configure. We don't need this. And these public addresses comes on lease, so we don't need that. And basically they comes with the line when we purchase the line, WAN link, the lease line, then these public addresses will also be given. But I don't want this. I just want to use in my local area network. So for that, INA has given this range, this private IP ranges. So we use this range for our local LAN, but when any packet goes from LAN to WAN, and in that packet, anything, if the source address or even a destination address, whatever, if it is a private address, then it will be dropped on these internets, on the routers and switches of WAN. So they will disable these packets, they will drop this packet, they will not allow this packet. It is not allowed. So if you want to go to the WAN network, you need these public IP addresses. So you have to use the public IP addresses to go to WAN. So now if suppose I want to go to WAN also and I want to use my local connection also. So what I will do here, let's say I will give you the one problem. The first problem comes when suppose I use the public IPs here on my local LAN, because I want to go to the WAN also, and because the private IP cannot go to WAN, so I want to use public IPs here. So I get the public IPs from the INA and I did what? I configured here. And here suppose I have 5,000 devices, or maybe we have 1,000, or let's say 5,000 devices here. So I get one IP range, and then I configured here everything. Every devices I configured with the public IP. All the devices, all the servers, clients, configuration services, everything I configured with this private IPs, public IPs, because I want to go outside and go to WAN network. Now what happened? These public IPs comes on lease, so they can change. So after the lease period expires, we have to renew it, or we have to repurchase it. Now suppose I have already done the configuration and now my lease period expires and I have to renew it. Now when I go to renew it, now I find that IP which I was using is not available now, and I have to use something else. Now I have to use something else. For example, I was using here a public IP, let's say 20. Now they are saying no, the public IP 20 is not available, now use 30. Now what that means? This means that I have to change the whole configuration of devices. I have to change all the IPs in those devices which I have configured. I have to reconfigure all the services with this new IP, and that is what for those 5,000 machines. It is not an easy job. It is not an easy job. That means it is the double of the job which you have done previously. So first time when you configure, you have just configured it, but now you have to remove it and then reconfigure it. It is double of the job now, and then it will become very difficult. So if it is happening time and time, and after suppose I configured it on this with this network 30, then after this also expire, and now they said now you don't have this, you have to change it again. So then what? Again I have to reconfigure everything. So this can be a problem for the big network if they are changing the public IPs time and time. Now to save this, what we do? This private IP and NAT can save us. So what we do? We use any private IP range. For example, I use this network 10. This is the class A private IP range. And I will configure all the 5,000 devices. Whatever I want, I can configure everything. Whatever I want, I will configure it. And that I will never change. Now, if I want to go out on WAN network, so I definitely need what? Public IP. So let's say I get this range 20. So what I will do? I will use that 20 range to go to WAN network. Now what I will do here, I will configure the NAT here on my router. Now NAT means network address translation. So it will do what? It will do the translation for us. That means when any packet comes from this LAN network and try to go outside on the WAN, then what? The source address will always be this private address. So what I will do here on router, I will configure the mapping. This NAT will do what? It will do what? It is simply the mapping. Mapping means if this IP comes, then convert that IP to this public IP. So what I will do? I will configure the mapping, the NAT here. I will configure this network address translation. It is just a mapping that if this private IP comes, then change it to this public IP. And when the reply comes back, so it will have this public IP. So change it to this private IP, so that it can easily go to that exact machine from where the request came. So it will do what? This router will do what? It will do just the translation. If private IP comes, suppose the private IP 1 comes, so it will change the public IP to 1. Now let's say for example 10.00.1 comes, So I said change it to 20.0.0.1. Now when the reply came, so the reply will came from 20.1 and it will go to 10.1. So just like it is do what? It is just a mapping of those network addresses. So in this way, what happened when when our data goes on WAN, when it goes on WAN, it will not discarded by the WAN routers or switches, and it will easily go on WAN because it is not having a private address. It will have a public address. Now, if suppose my public range changes, now I don't have 20. Now they said you can use now 30. Now what? If I want to use this, then what? I will not change anything in my LAN. I will not change any configuration here in this LAN network. I will not change anything, like this 5000 machines configuration will remain same, will still use this public private IP. So what I will change is this only the NAT setting, the configuration of this NAT. That means only I will change the mapping. So mapping will change, like when now 10.0.0.1 comes, then change it to 30.0.0.1. Previously it was 20.0.0.1. So we don't have to change the whole configuration. We can only change this NAT configurations here on this router, and it will take not less than 30 minutes or less than 5 minutes, I can say. So changing this whole configuration of 5000 machine is now you can do it only with the 5 minutes of NAT configurations. So this is what it is the benefit of using the NAT, but NAT with the private IPs. So basically NAT do what? It converts the private IP into public IP. This is number one benefit. Other benefit is also there, and that is what? You can save IP addresses. Save IP addresses, that means when you are doing the mapping, so you can do what? You can save some IP addresses. You have two type of NAT configurations. So you have static and dynamic. So if suppose you are configuring static NATing, so basically static is what? One-to-one mapping. That means if you are have 5000 private IPs here, so if you are having a 5000 private IPs, then you need same 5000 public IPs also. This will do what? It is like one-to-one manual mapping. So it is like I say when 10.0.0.1 comes, then change it to 20.0.0.1. It is like that. So for that you need exact IPs, like exact private IPs you have 5000, so exact 5000 public IPs you need. So this is not saving. Now the benefit comes when you configure dynamic NATing. Now when you configure the dynamic NATing, then what you will do, like for example you are having 5000 private IPs. So what you can do, you don't have to purchase or get all the 5000 public IPs. You can do what? You can use only 1000 public IPs also. So what we'll do here, we create a pool of 1000 IPs. We will not do one-to-one mapping. So what we'll do, we will say pool. Pool means we will mention the start IP and we will mention the end IP. Now router will manage. So router will do what? It will manage like dynamically. Like suppose when 10.0.0.1 comes, so router will translate into 20.0.0.1. So 10.0.0.2 comes, then it will translate into 20.0.0.2. Now it is not like it is a static mapping, it is dynamic. That means whatever available it will give, and then it will go down, go to the WAN. So it will transfer. So after translating, it will transfer the data to WAN. So it will do what? It will do dynamically. Dynamically, that means whatever available IPs, like from starting to end range, if whatever IP is available, it will use that IP to send the data, to translate. So by doing this, we don't have to have 5000 public IPs for 5000 private IP. So we can use only 1000 IPs also. Now the problem comes, well, suppose we have only 1000 public IPs, and the person and the machines is what currently at the same time simultaneously 2000 machines trying to access the WAN network. Then the problem comes, because first 1000 private IPs are already translated. So after first 1000 IPs are translated, then the next IPs, next 4000 IPs will have to wait. They have to wait for the next IP, the already used IP, to free. So when any IP got free, then they can use that IPs. So they have to wait for it. And in that case, our router, our network will slow. It will work little slow. So it will work a little slow. So that means what? Configuring the dynamic netting can do what? Can save, can give us a benefit of saving some public IPs, but it is also make our network slow. And one more thing, our router will have to do more job. So also it depends on the router, and will use the more processing power of the router, and it will put more load on the router also. So it will make a network a little slow, but we'll get the benefit of reduced public IPs. Next, what we can do is one more thing. There is one more configuration. Now there is one more thing. It is called PAT. It is called PAT. PAT means port address translation. It is not a different thing. It is actually netting, but it is actually doing based on port address. Now this one do what? It can save lots of IPs. What it can do here? It can translate the address based on port number. So what it do here? So suppose this is your router. So what you will do? You have 5000 machines here. In this side you have 5000 private IPs. So what you can do? You can have only one public IP, and only one public IP can used for this all 5000 IPs after doing this PAT. So how it works and why it calls port address translation. So basically what it do here, suppose this IP comes 10.0.0.1. Now when this IP comes to router, now router has to translate this IP. So we have a public IP, and that is, suppose we have only one IP, and that is 20.0.0.1. So what it will do, it will translate the IP to same 20.0.0.1, but it will do what? It will change the port address. So port address will be different. That means for this 10.1, let's say it gives the port number 5001. Now when next IP comes, next machine comes, for example 10.2. Now this IP comes to the router. Now router will do what? It has to translate this also. So what it will do? It will translate it to same public IP. It will do same 20.1. It will give same 20.1 IP. But the port address it will change. Port address it will change to other port. Like for example 5002. Now the reply comes. Then when the reply comes, so in the reply, the source port will become the destination port. The source port was 5001. So 5001, when 5001 comes, remember the IP will remain same. So if 5001 comes back, so router knows that this is for 10.1. So it will forward that reply to 10.1. And when the reply comes for the port number 5002, so router knows that the port number 5002 was for 10.2. So it will send the reply to 10.2. So by the help of port number, source port number, it will use the same source IP, public IP For all the machines, all the IPs, all the 5000 IPs, it will use the same public IP, but only what it changes is the port number. It will only change the port number for different IPs, and based on the port number it knows that which source IP it was, which private IP it was, and then based on that it will send the reply to exactly that private IP. So logically what we can do here, we can configure for the private for the 60,000, more than 60,000 private IPs, we can use single public IP. We can use only one single public IP for more than 60,000 private IPs. Why? Because this port number counter is a 16-bit counter. It is a 16-bit counter. So in this 16-bit, we can have numbers from 0 to 65,536. So suppose if I leave these for default ports, still we have 60,000, more than 60,000 free ports available. So we can basically, logically, we can do what? We can configure one private IP, public IP for 60,000 private IPs if we are doing this path. But again, your router has to do more tasks, and that will make router a little slow. So your network may work little slow because of router processing power. Other than that, it will work very fine. But if you use dynamic netting, it will get slow because of less public IPs. And if you want very fast and very efficient, then you can go for static one-to-one mapping. But static one-to-one mapping will take time to configure also, because you have to map one by one statically. And if you use dynamic, so configuration will be easy. And if you want to make it fast, then you can use same public IP, like 5,000 private IPs for 5,000 public IPs for 5,000 private IPs. So dynamic configuration is easy. Static will be difficult because it is one-to-one mapping. And even we can use PAT also. Net terminology. Net terminology, that means if you see this figure here, so the net terminology used when you configure the net. So when you configure the net, the terminology will use, that means the names of the addresses used. So as you see in this design, this is the machine in our LAN network which using the private IP of 192.168.1.2. This is our internal network. And to go to outside network like WAN network, we have this range of IP or this public IP 14.132.1.3, and this is the server available on internet that is having IP of 32.156.1.3. So suppose if this server, this client sends the request to this server, so the source will be this address, destination will be this address, but our router will do what? It will change the address to this address, this public address. Now the terminology says one, inside local addresses. So inside local addresses, these are the private IPv4 addresses as defined by the IFC 1918 that are used to address host in the private network. So this link local address, that means the private address of this PC. So when we are configuring the NAT and it says you give link local address, that means you have to provide the address of your private network, that is your internal network, and you have to provide the private address. Then when it says provide the inside global address, that means this is an IP address that can be used by the host in the internal network to access the internet, and this address will be the address of the public IP which is you want to translate into. Like this private address I want to translate into this public address. So this private address will be called inside local address, and this public address will be called inside global address. So in our scenario, if you see, the IP address of PC1 is you can use to access the internet in this is the 14.132.1.3 IP address. So this IP address will be inside local and this IP will be inside global. Then one more term is there, it is called outside global address. This is any public IPv4 addresses that has been configured on a device on the internet. That means in our case, in our scenario, this client want to access this server, so this IP of this server will be considered as a outside global address. Then in this scenario, the IP address that is configured on the web server is an example of outside global address. Then outside local address. Now this is similar to the outside global address and they are local IP addresses configured on any external network. So basically outside global and outside local will be the same address of this machine which is available on internet. That is this web server address in our scenario. So when we try to configure the NAT, then these are the terminology used. It will ask that provide inside local address or inside global address. But we don't configure this outside global or outside local. It will show you when you check the translation. When you see what is the translation, what is translation happening, then it will show you that outside global address also and outside local address also. And both the addresses are same. And the addresses are for the machine who we want to connect on internet or on WAN network. So this is the terminology used when we configure the NAT. So dynamic mapping and static mapping. So I have told you about the dynamic mapping where we create the pool of IPv4 addresses and the devices will use any free IP address available on that pool. It is configuring, the configuration for dynamics is easy, but you have another also static. Now in static you have to map manually, that means one-to-one mapping. It is one-to-one mapping and you have to map manually. Single host to single host, like single local address to single global address. And in this you can't save any IPs because if you have 5,000 private IPs then you need 5,000 public IPs. But in dynamic configuration you can save some IP addresses. Now if you want to save more IP addresses then you can configure PAT, port address translation. It is also called NAT overload. And when you configure this, it will do what? It will do PAT, that is port address translation. And it will do what? We can configure 5,000 or more than 60,000 private IPs on single public IP. So it will use the same IP whenever it translates any private IP but changes the source port. And based on the source port, it will do the NATing. And that is why it is called PAT, port address. So based on the source port address, it will do the NATing, and that is why it is called port address translation. And because the port address counter is 16-bit, we can have a number from 0 to 65,536. And if you leave some default ports, then at least we have 60,000 ports available. So these are the benefits of configuring NAT. With NAT, the exhaustion of the IPv4 addresses has been reduced by the using private IP addresses and allocating few IPv4 addresses to companies that want to use the internet. Then NAT has made it possible to address inside local network with enhanced flexibility. This is because there is a structure in IPv4 addressing that can be implemented in any organization. With NAT, we have enhanced network security. This is due to the fact that private IPv4 cannot be used in the internet, and therefore information in private network cannot be viewed unless an attacker has access to the private network. It can also provide some point of security also, that outside network nobody can see your private IP addresses. Then the drawbacks are like with NAT, the network performance is reduced. As I said, it put lots of load on router. So this is because there may be switching delay as a result of translating of IPv4 addresses in the packet headers. NAT reduces the creativity and innovation in the internet age. For example, connection that need external global addresses, initiating the connection to inside networks can be disconnected. Then the use of VPNs is made difficult since NAT can modify values that are needed by these protocols to work. So if you are configuring NAT, so it is difficult for you to configure the VPNs also. So this is what the benefits and drawbacks, and this is what the NAT, and we have dynamic NAT and static NAT. So this is how it works, and this is what NAT it is. This is NAT what it all about.